Hey everyone, this is Stooge GG, aka Big Cedric, aka Jeff, here presenting a basic kind of walkthrough demo of Town of Salem. I know a lot of members of the Aureus gaming community have latched onto this game in recent weeks, myself included. We're having a ton of fun playing it. We're actually going to be incorporating some events into it here shortly. I just kind of want to give everyone an idea basically what the game is, what it's about, and show you me playing one of the basic modes so you can kind of get a feeling for what it is. Pulling from the website, Town of Salem, which is put out by Blank Media Games, is a browser-based game that challenges players on their ability to convincingly lie, as well as detect when other players are lying. Basically, there's a number of different factions. There's the town, the mafia, killers, neutral benign, neutral evil, a bunch of different roles. Basically, if you're a member of the actual town, you want to survive to the end and get rid of all the bad people, either by having them get killed or by hanging them. If you're a member of the mafia, you basically want to kill everybody but the rest of the mafia team. If you're a serial killer, werewolf, arsonist, you want to kill absolutely everybody but yourself. There's a couple neutral roles like survivor. Their job is just to stay alive. If they die, they lose. There's a witch who can control their people. A jester whose job it is to get himself hung by any means. If he gets hung, he wins no matter what else happens. An executioner's job is to get someone in the town killed. They have a specific target. If that person gets hung, they win. If that person gets killed by any other means, they turn into a jester who tries to get himself hung. You'll see there's 30 different roles. I'm not going to explain all of them right now. As you play, you start to pick up the different things that they do. Well, let's go ahead and just hop into a classic game. Just join a random lobby here. It's generally 15 people to a game. You can customize it so it's fewer than that. You see everyone in the game here. On the right are the specific roles, limited in Classic. In other modes, it's a little bit more random. Just name myself Stooge here so you can follow me a little bit easier. Everyone picks their own name. You'll see a lot of people pick troll names. It looks like everyone so far is pretty good. There you've got nice Dan K memes. Occasionally it gets a bit inappropriate. If you do have a wildly inappropriate names, it makes people want to target you first, so it's not always the best idea. The game works on a day-night cycle. First, you're going to see it's going to randomly select our role here. These percentages aren't always correct, but we'll see what we actually get here. Okay, so I'm a framer. I'm actually going to be a member of the Mafia team. What I can do is visit a town member or whoever I select to visit each night. If someone else from the town goes to look at them, they'll see them as a bad guy instead of a good guy. Everyone just kind of shows up in a circle here. The first day cycle is very short. You can always see a timer up here in the top right. Description of your role. Victory conditions of who you can win with. Here's the other Mafia with me. Here are the roles that exist within this game. Basically, if you have to lie and say you're something else, you kind of want to identify as role is going to be in here. In other modes, you'll see it could be a lot of random things. So instead of being a sheriff, there'd be town investigative, which could be a sheriff, investigator, a lookout, any number of things. So on the night cycle, you have about 30 seconds. See my other Mafia members here are choosing who they want to kill. The Godfather always takes priority. So whoever he targets is going to be the one who dies. The Mafioso will actually carry it out for him. I'm actually going to vote to frame Meme Master, so if our sheriff or investigator actually goes to look at him this night, he'll see him as something different than what he actually is. So you see, we've got a chat log up here so I can look back to see, my teammates here on the Mafia wanted to kill Gonzalez. They were successful. We're actually going to see exactly what happened, how people died. Kat was actually killed by a member of the Mafia, which doesn't make a ton of sense because that's not who we actually targeted. So what ended up most likely happening is they got switched places with whoever we were actually trying to target. So one of the random town could be a transporter who basically just switched two people's places. So most likely Kat and Gonzalez got transported between each other, so when we targeted Gonzalez, we actually hit Kat. The serial killer who's trying to kill everybody targeted Kat and accidentally killed Gonzalez. So it'll be a little bit confusing for people at first, but now that we're in a longer day cycle, basically this time's used for everyone to discuss what happened the previous night. If you're town investigative folks, like a sheriff or investigator, found someone out to be possibly mafia, serial killer, or jester, executioner, someone who might be bad, this is where they kind of want to put up that information. They have to be careful though, because if they put out too much information, they make themselves a target. But the first couple days you'll see basically we've got nothing. These people are just saying kind of stupid stuff. Now that the discussion period's over, we go into a 30-second voting period. See, it's going to take 7 votes for someone to go up to trial to be hung and put to death. You'll see someone randomly voted for me for who knows what reason. We've got apparently people voting for Jesus for who knows what reason. A lot of time you'll just see just random voting. Good players tend not to do it. Sometimes people do just for fun. Why not? But basically that day cycle went with pretty much little to nothing happening. I'm going to go ahead and actually frame the same guy again in case somebody looks at him. Most likely nobody looked at him yesterday, so I'll just keep going with the chance that someone will look at him. You'll see when people die, they leave behind a will. You'll see I've got one I can write, I just haven't written anything yet. Killing note would be if someone kills them, they can write their own note. Since I'm not a killing role, I don't have one, but it would appear at the top. So there's a little bit of confusion there. I voted to frame somebody. The one guy voted to kill him, so I just switched it at the last second. But what actually ended up happening is the Godfather came in and said, well, let's kill Arbaki instead. So Meme Master did end up being the target. We actually killed Arbaki, and I went and framed Girlfriend instead. So this is the will that Arbaki left. It wasn't very informative. Generally, you want to leave a will that says what you found out, if you found out anything, that gives clues to help the rest of the town. If you're a mafia like myself, you actually probably want to create a fake will. So I'm just going to write one out here claiming that I'm a doctor. And I'll say, night 1, I visited Edward Bishop. Night 2, I visited Jesus. So basically, if someone says, what are you, and they're willing to hang me, I'm going to say I'm a doctor, and I'll say I visited those 2 people. If I was a doctor and they got attacked, I would have saved them. See what interesting thing that happened, our mafioso actually died. The serial killer attacked him. So a few interesting tidbits. The mafia, we can't kill the serial killer. He's immune to our attacks at night. The Godfather is immune to the serial killer's attack at night, as well as anyone who tries to attack him at night can't kill him. Myself as the framer can be killed. If the Godfather ends up dying, I'll actually turn into a mafioso so we can keep killing. There's kind of a lot going on. It's kind of hard to explain while playing, but hopefully you guys can just kind of see what I'm doing. So for who knows what reason, Jesus has been voted up to hang. He now gets 20 seconds to defend himself. If he's a town member, he'll try to post his will, say what he is, why he should be saved. If he's a jester who wants to get hung, he'll probably say something really stupid to make people want to hang him more. But let's see. He claims he was a lookout and he saw Meme going to visit me last night. That's entirely possible if Meme's like an investigator. But now we can vote guilty or innocent. I'm just going to abstain. Generally, since I know he's not a member of the Mafia, I probably want him to die. But considering he might be a jester who, when he hangs, he gets the option of killing anyone who voted guilty on him, I don't really want to vote guilty. But just something as we're playing to keep track of, we know the veteran was actually a town killing role, so we know that's been eliminated. The escort's been eliminated, the medium's been eliminated, and the mafioso's been eliminated. So as the Mafia, we still have to watch out for the sheriff, doctor, investigator, and jailer. Oh, and the serial killer actually just died. So now it's up to me and the one Mafia to kill basically everybody else in the game for the rest of the time. It's going to be fairly difficult, but we'll see what we can do here. There is still a random town to consider, which can basically be any town role in existence unless it's unique. So there can't be a second jailer, so he can't be the jailer, but he could be basically any other town role in the game. We'll keep up faking our will here. In Classic, it's much harder to fake a will, just because everyone knows specifically what roles are. So as I claim doctor, the guy who's actually doctor will say, he's not the doctor, I am. And I kind of have to argue back and forth with him or claim that I am the random town. So you'll see Girlfriend actually just quit the game yesterday for no apparent reason, so they just end up killing themselves. And luckily, Mafia, we're still going around getting our kills. Managed to get the Investigator, which is good because he won't be able to figure out who we are. The Investigator would have been able to see that when he looks at someone, he knows they're usually a set of 2 or 3 roles. So he would have seen the Godfathers, either Godfather, Mayor, or Vampire Hunter. And since those other 2 are much more unlikely than Godfather, the Godfather would get voted up and probably hung. Veteran, kind of run through the roles here, who died early. He can alert 3 times in a game. If he alerts and somebody visits him, that person dies. So luckily when we attacked him, he decided not to alert that night, so we managed to get through without killing ourselves. The escort can visit 1 person every night and basically stops them from performing whatever their role would normally be. Medium talks to the people who are dead at night, and if he dies himself, he can 1 time talk to somebody that is still alive during a night. So he would pick the target, talk to that person. Mafioso obviously was the guy who was killing for us. Serial killers, the guy who's just trying to kill everybody. Investigator already mentioned, and Jester I've already mentioned. Sheriff looks at people and basically sees... He can specifically see anyone but the Godfather as Mafia. So if he saw myself, it would come up that I'm Mafia. If he saw the serial killer, it would say serial killer. Anyone who's not a bad person, like a town, he would just see them as not suspicious. I believe he sees Executioner Jesters as not suspicious, but he's good at identifying Framer Mafioso, serial killer, stuff like that. So there's not a lot of discussion too much going on, which is actually great for the Mafia since there's only 2 of us left. We kind of have to be careful about what we're actually doing. I'm going to keep faking my will here. But since I do believe there's a transporter who switched people around, he would be the random town. So when the other doctor outs himself, if everyone knows there's a transporter, it's going to be really obvious I'm lying. Okay, so we actually attacked Dan K. Memes last night, and he did not die. That means he was either healed or somebody that has night immunity. The only people left that have night immunity are the Godfather and the Executioner. So those 2 people, if they're target night, won't actually be killed. We've either identified Dan K. Memes as the Executioner or someone who just happened to get healed. And since no one has claimed that they healed him and he hasn't claimed that he was healed, chances are he's the Executioner. What they're talking about here, since nobody died, the jailer who takes somebody into jail every night and can question them without revealing himself and blocks them from doing whatever they would normally do, they're suspecting that whoever he jailed might be the Godfather, since the Godfather would have gone out to kill otherwise. Basically, since I'm a bad guy, for the most part, I'm going to keep quiet. I don't want to draw too much attention to myself. I can't really accuse people without them knowing I'm wrong, and then it coming back on me. So who do I want to pick tonight? Back to me, Master. I'm actually going to switch my claim here to say I healed Dan K. Memes on night 4. And I'll just put in my will that he was attacked and I healed him. So now when I claim Doctor, and I post that will, Dan can say, well, I was healed that night. The other doctor should still come out and say, well, I was the one who actually healed him. But it adds a little bit more realism to it. The numbers are dwindling still. We're down to 7. Basically, myself and the Godfather kind of have to keep ourselves hidden until basically there's 4 people left, and we can't just be killed or can't be hung on our own. Hey. I don't know what he's actually trying to say in his will there. But there goes the lookout off the list. One thing that to note is the executioner, at some point, if he hasn't already become a jester, he's not going to want to side with the town. So if it gets down to 5 of us left and the executioner's still around, he'll most likely want to help the mafia. I mean, it depends. And if the jailer's still around, that's bad news, because when they can figure out, well, these 2 guys left have to be the mafia, he can jail and kill one of us. Ideally, we were hoping he would kill the guy that he jailed last night, because if a jailer kills an innocent townie, he can no longer kill anybody the rest of the game. And in total, he can only kill 3 people. So if he had happened to kill the mafioso and the serial killer and then killed me, the Godfather would still be immune to him being killed. The same person jailed could not be Moff unless Framer not promoted. They kind of just want a random lynch. Not a great idea. It would have been helpful for us if I had voted quickly there. We would have voted him up. But who really knows? There's somebody tries to look out. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure what this will is supposed to mean, but our main concern now is there's still a sheriff who can identify me immediately as Mafia. I would claim that I was framed and I'd post that will saying I'm actually a doctor, and the jailer who can kill, one of us. We would see in our Mafia chat here if one of us had been jailed. Obviously, if I had been jailed, it would told me I'm hauled off to jail and I'd have to answer to the jailer. I forgot to update this here. Getting my fake stuff here. So we actually failed to kill again. On night 6, we tried to kill Edward Bishop. I'm going to claim that again. So, sorry, I got quiet there. I'm trying to type. So the other guy's obviously claiming doctor. So I had to make a claim there because the one guy had identified me as Mafia. So I'm trying to claim that I was framed, but... I was just going to say I've already posted my will. Don't know what else to say. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hang. He claimed I was Moff because he was sheriff. That doesn't matter. I knew I was going to hang. Luckily, my buddy voted guilty on me, so they're not going to suspect him. They're going to suspect me, Master. But it tends to happen. Now I can actually kind of explain the rest of the game, hopefully, without getting distracted. But what's confusing to me here is Edward Bishop claims I'm Mafia, then says he's sheriff. I guess he says he didn't actually check me, but my defense was I was probably framed but I'm the doctor. So his retort was, I'd never actually checked you, which doesn't prove anything either. But hopefully what I wanted to do was identify who the actual doctor was, which I did because Cotton came out and identified himself. So my godfather is most likely going to want to kill the doctor, who he's not attacking right now. Hopefully he's attacking. He may have figured out who the jailer is. And if he can kill that jailer, we're much better off because there's no one who can execute him. So basically, since we know Lookout's gone, what we're still looking for is the random town, which I thought was transported, but it might not be. We're looking for the jailer and the sheriff and the doctor. So Cotton Mathers claimed doctor. Edward Bishop has claimed... Where'd he go? Edward Bishop has claimed sheriff. So the jailer was probably James Russell, who hopefully he caught right now. And then, let's see here if I'm correct. Otherwise, he could be the executioner turned jester. That kind of sucks. Because we wanted him around to keep getting himself hung. So what we should have figured out now, unfortunately, is that either Dan or Meme are the jailer. So my buddy Jonathan Corwin here kind of needs to hit the jailer. So he needs to take a guess at which one's the jailer and which one's the random town. Because right now, with a doctor still alive and a transporter, I think, still alive, it's going to be very hard to actually kill the Godfather to kill 3 other people or get one hung. So Meme Master voting innocent on me might get him hung here. As you can see, he's complaining. He's saying he voted innocent? The only person who voted innocent was Meme Master. So Edward Bishop's kind of a dum-dum, but unfortunately that happens quite a bit in this game. For as much as you can figure it out, or as much as a perfect lie you can craft, there could be someone who's just kind of a complete idiot that just gets everybody else killed. So I was kind of hoping to have a town game to show you what that looks like. But I will be putting up another basic guide for the ranked practice mode, which is kind of the more fun mode. Because here, as the Mafia, it's really hard to come up with a lie that someone can't disprove. If someone else had confirmed that other guy was the doctor, we were kind of screwed. So that's what I was kind of watching. Before I claimed doctor, no one else had. No one had whispered to the guy, say, hey, I'm the one who saved you. Possibly I should have whispered to him then and said, hey, I'm the doc who just healed you. But that kind of would have been a little bit risky, especially if he thought the other guy was the doctor. So I kind of identify Jonathan Corwin now as the Godfather. Unless he can make some expert claim as to what he actually is, he's kind of in a lot of trouble here. As these games kind of get down to the wire, right now, since there's 4 town members left and 1 Mafia, it's very difficult for the Mafia to win. But if it gets down to, say, 2 of these folks were still Mafia, 2 were town, and 1 was, like, Survivor, the Survivor decides the outcome of the game by just deciding who he votes must win. If it's, like, 2 Mafia and 3 town, if the 2 Mafia can present a good enough case that, like, Dan K. Memes was actually the Mafia and they get him hung, they kind of win. Though with the jailer still left and the doctor still left, it'd still be very hard to execute those folks at night. But since my buddy here basically had nothing to claim, everyone else had kind of identified exactly what they were. It's very hard to win as Mafia on Classic. Classic obviously being the kind of introductory one, and since there's always going to be in this mode 9 town members against 3 Mafia, it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, it's still 9 against 6 in a sense because Jester and Executioner are trying to help the town. But you'll see, unfortunately, we did lose. But hopefully you kind of see how the game is played a little bit. You see how I tried to game it a little bit by faking a will and claiming a role, which didn't work too well for me. It's worked great for me in the past, depending on what role you try to claim. You just have to know what's still out there and hasn't died yet. So thanks for sticking with me until the end here. Hopefully
kind of intrigues a little bit people about the game. If you do want to check it out, you can go to blankmediagames.com. I'll have a link in the description. If you want to use me as a reference when you sign up, I think you can put in who recommended the game to you, and I think it gets me some bonus points or something like that. My name in the game is just StoogeGG. If you just decide to play it and want to add me to friends list, just go ahead. It's free in browser. At the time I'm recording this, there's actually a Steam sale going on, so the Steam version of this game is only $3.34, I believe. Normally $5, but it's a interesting game to initially pick up. You'll see I'm obviously no expert at it, considering that I'm 11 games under 500. I have had some bad breaks, but it's a lot of fun, can be very exhilarating and very infuriating at the same time. Check out the links in the description. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like. If you want to subscribe, great. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you do have any questions, throw them in the comments, or if you're a member of the Ori's gaming community, you always shoot me a PM over there and I'll answer anything for you. Thanks, have a good time.